The Zacks Rank, value, momentum, growth, and income all factor into Zacks Rank buys.
There are a couple of regional banks in focus on the value radar. Tracey Ryniec, our value strategist, here to talk more about them. These are kind of interesting.
Yeah.
First one is, and I don't know if I've ever heard of this one, First NBC Bank Holding Company?
Yeah, they're in New Orleans. They're a regional bank down there, headquartered there. They have 35 branches, and they are along the Gulf Coast as well,
Okay.
and into the Florida Panhandle. They do a lot of construction and real estate loans, you know, to small businesses and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's the area that's really seeing a big uptick. And in New Orleans itself, there's been a ton of construction. They're building a lot of hotels, restaurants, and a lot of apartments like we're seeing in a lot of cities. So this kind of bank is benefiting. They also kind of have a unique niche where they get these historic tax credits.
Oh, wow.
And the analysts all say that it actually is a big boost to the EPS that normal banks don't get. And they figured out a way to really play this historic tax credit type of thing to really boost their earnings. So I like that aspect of it because you don't see these unique things very often.
Yeah.
And you can see in the earnings estimates here, you know, they're trending higher because we've got this good construction market and this, you know, much better than people thought economy.
Right.
And then we have the possibility of the Fed actually increasing rates, which will help the regional banks. You know, then their savings rates and all that stuff, that what they can charge goes up. So nice upward action on the estimates, and estimates are supposed to grow, or the earnings, by 25% this year and another 9% next year, which is, you know, pretty nice little growth projections for a regional bank. You can see the chart. It's at 2-year highs here because I think a lot of people are anticipating the Fed's going to raise and it's going to help the regional banks. But it's breaking out of this channel. I do like it here, even at the highs. It has a price to book of only 1.8, which for the banks is pretty low. The regular average for all of the banks is about 3.3. So I like that. And for banks, you really do want to look to the price to book ratio more than the PE, but it has an interesting PE of around 11 as well. So that aspect of it is a value too. So no dividend with these guys. Yeah,
right.
that is the one thing I actually checked 3 times just to make sure, like, are you sure they're not paying a dividend? Because most regional banks do pay something,
Right.
but you're getting it with the earnings growth instead.
All right, well, this next one does. Great Western Bancorp. There's Zacks Rank number 2.
Yeah, they're a little bit bigger than the one in New Orleans, and they are in 7 western states. Although I kind of looked at the list and I saw like the South Dakota, and they're in Arizona and Missouri. I don't know, is Missouri western? I guess it kind of is. But you know,
Southwest.
Yeah, but they're in that region of the country, and they're big in agriculture because of their location. So they do a lot of construction loans as well, and then agriculture. And they just reported their 4th quarter for last fiscal year, and they saw big growth in the commercial loans for real estate, and that was up about 12% year over year, and then the agriculture was up 11%. We kind of forget that the farmers, you know, they're not really in the spotlight here, but they're not doing badly. They're not.
No, they had a good year this year.
Yeah, they're not as good as a couple years ago when all the commodity prices were soaring, but the farmers are doing okay, and you can tell that from the loans that are going out to them.
Yeah, even the harvests are right on track.
Yeah, so this bank's kind of in all of that, and that's a good thing. And then you can see also the same kind of story. The estimates are trending higher. They have a little bit less growth than the New Orleans bank, but still you're getting some growth here year over year. And cheap again, 1.2 is their price to book, so that's even cheaper than the New Orleans bank. And you can see they've only been trading a couple of years here. They've kind of been spun off from this big Australian bank, which just divested all of their shares in them. So they're independent now, and they do pay the dividend, 1.8%.
Right.
So you are getting a dividend with them. They're also trading near these highs, but again, I still consider these regional banks to be cheap. So I would be a buyer here.
Okay. Well, do you own either?
I do not.
All right. Check out more stock information on our website, Zacks.com. You can link to it all right off the home page. And if you're watching our videos on YouTube, there is where you can subscribe to them and comment on them. So don't forget about that. With Tracey, I'm Terry Ruffalo.